Ready to supercharge your web and mobile app projects? In this video, I'll guide you step by step to set up SQL Server Developer Edition on your machine. Let's get your ideas up and running. Hi everyone, welcome to Coding with Julie, where I'm sharing my journey learning about C# and the .NET stack to build some cool web apps and maybe some mobile apps too. Whether you're just starting or curious about coding, I hope you find this video helpful. Alright, let's jump right in. So why do we need SQL Server? The first one is that because it manages the database. A SQL database needs a system to store, organize, and manage the data. SQL Server provides that system, making sure the database works and runs correctly. And the next one is to handle multiple users and big data. SQL Server is designed to manage multiple users and large amounts of data at the same time. Without it, your app might struggle when more people use it. It's because it can manage a lot of users and big amounts of data at the same time without slowing down. The next one is security and permissions. SQL Server allows you to control access by setting permissions for different users, so only authorized or the right users can view or change data. And the next one is to run tasks automatically. SQL Server can run tasks automatically, like backing up data or setting alerts when something goes wrong. The next one is to keep data correct or accurate. It makes sure that the data stays accurate and consistent even when many users are using it at once. And the next point is to provide a connection between app and database. Your app needs a way to talk to the database, and SQL Server acts as the middleman, making sure your app can read, write, and update data smoothly. The next point is that to keep things fast. So SQL Server can make sure that queries run fast so your app doesn't slow down when it has a lot of users. Alright, let's set up SQL Server on your machine for web and mobile development. We are using SQL Server Developer because it's a better and smarter choice if you are still in your learning phase like me, as it gives you access to all the advanced features of SQL Server without restrictions. You'll be able to learn, prototype, and experiment with the full capabilities of SQL Server. However, if you decide to sell your software or deploy it for production, you could easily migrate your database to SQL Server Express or even to SQL Server Standard or Enterprise if your project grows larger. Alright, next let's download and install SQL Server. First, search for SQL Server download on Google. You should see a link to the official Microsoft download page. It is right here. It looks like this. And then scroll down for a little bit until you find the Download Now button. For the Developer Edition, it should be on your left. Click it to start the download. Once the installer file is downloaded to your computer, go to your Downloads folder. Then double-click the file to begin the installation process. In the installer wizard, select Basic to proceed. Scroll down to review the license terms, then click Accept to continue. For the server installation location, keep the default path under Program Files. Once that's set, click Install to begin the installation. Installation is complete. You'll see the information about the server name, connection string, and other details. So don't worry about this information for now. You could simply close the installer window. Next, we'll install SQL Server Management Studio or SSMS to make it easier to manage and work with your database. But first thing first, we need to restart our computer. Don't forget to return to this tutorial after restarting your computer to finish the remaining steps. Alright, if you've made it to this part, it means you've already restarted your computer from the earlier step. If not, you might encounter an error because restarting your computer is very important after installing SQL Server. Now, let's search for Install SQL Server Management Studio on Google. You should find the official download page for SQL Server Management Studio, just like this one. Click the download SSMS link to go directly to the download section. Then click download SQL Server Management Studio SSMS. Once the installer file is downloaded to your computer, go to your downloads folder and click on the file. This will open the installer wizard. Click install to begin. The installation process should only take a few moments to complete, and here it is. It's all completed. Alright, next, let's connect to the SQL Server instance or database. Open SQL Server Management Studio, and a small window should appear. The server name is usually your computer's name. Leave the other settings as default, and let's click Connect. Oops, I got an error. I couldn't connect to my SQL server because the certificate chain was issued by an untrusted authority. If you see a similar error, just click OK to close the error message. To fix this, all we have to do is just check the box labeled Trust Server Certificate there, and then just click Connect again. You should now be able to access SQL Server Management Studio. Next, let's create your first database to test the SQL Server. On the left panel, right-click on Databases and select New Database from the menu. A small window will pop up. In the database name box, type the name you want for your database, and leave the other settings as they are and click OK to create the database. Alright, next, let's create a table. Click the plus sign next to databases to expand it. Then click the plus sign next to your database name to view its structure. You'll see a folder labeled Tables. Right-click on Tables and select Table under the new menu. First, let's create a few columns for our table. This table will store user information. Think of it as similar to setting up a table in an Excel file. Start with the first column, ID. Click in the column name field and type ID. For the data type, select INT or int, which stands for integer. Then uncheck the allow nulls box because we want this column to be required. Every user must have an ID. And let's click to the second row to add first name, and the data type is varchar 50, and uncheck the allow nulls box. And the next column is the last name. Do it as the same as the first name and varchar, and then uncheck the box allow nulls. And the last row is email. Use varchar 100, but just leave it unchecked for allow nulls. We just want to keep this column optional, so this table is only an example for testing. Next, we need to set the ID column as the primary key. To do this, you could either click the key icon at the top of the screen or right-click on the ID column and select Set Primary Key from the menu. We also want the primary key to auto increment. To set this up, select the ID row and scroll down to the column properties section. Look for identity specification and click to expand it. Next, click in the is identity field. You'll see no next to it. Change this to yes. Once you do, the identity increment and identity seed fields under this section will automatically update to 1. Finally, click the save disk icon at the top to save your table, name it users, and click OK to confirm. Next, click the refresh icon at the top of the left panel to update it. Then click the plus sign next to tables to expand the list. You should now see the users table we just created. Alright, next, let's insert some test data. Right-click on the users table and select Edit Top 200 Rows. This will open a view where you could see the column names we just set up earlier. Click into each column to enter a first name, last name, and email. For the email part or column is optional, so you don't have to make up all the email for all the rows. So anyway, don't worry about adding an ID number either because the system will handle that automatically. We just did that earlier. Once you've filled in the fake information for each row, simply click on the next row to continue. It will save your data or information automatically when you click out. As you start entering information in each row, the ID value for each record will automatically increment by 1. And there you have it, the first table you've created in SQL Server. Now that you've got SQL Server set up, if you haven't already, be sure to check out my video on setting up Git locally for web application development. It's the perfect next step. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you and can't wait to read your thoughts. Have an amazing day wherever you are, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!